Hello and welcome to Prequel, the country's first restaurant incubator. I'm Johan Munasinga. I'm the CEO of In Kind and the proud owner of Prequel. Since its inception, Prequel has been a labor of love and is made possible entirely due to the wonderful people of this city. I want to thank Ralph and Devon, our Pivot Fellows, for joining the Prequel family. I've gotten to know them over the last 3 months, and I don't think you'll find a bigger fan of Ralph and Devon than myself. Ralph put into perspective last night why I like them so much while we were having cocktails here. He said, "I'm here because I'm passionate about food and want to start a food service business. No one's forcing me to come here. I chose to come here. And that's why they work so hard and absorb everything there is to know about running a small business. These guys, in just 3 months, can run Prequel. Everything from managing the finances in QuickBooks to creating social media promotions and leading our team during service. I also want to thank Georgetown professor and in-kind investor Arun Gupta, who put us in touch with the Pivot program at Georgetown. Without your help and encouragement to take a risk on the program, we would not have had the opportunity to work with Ralph and Devon. And of course, I want to thank Mayor Bowser for your commitment to supporting programs like DOES, Project Empowerment, and the Pivot program. Your presence here today is a testament to your profound commitment to giving the district residents, despite possible shortcomings, the opportunity to be successful. And yes, I voted for you. My husband, Andy, who's around here somewhere, and I started Prequel as the first restaurant incubator in the country. As an incubator, we invite chefs to come in to Prequel and take the kitchen for 6 months. We then help them design their budget, their menu, and if it's going well, to find a space somewhere else in the district to open. We're not supposed to have favorites, but hopefully you guys have heard a couple of them that started here. Himitsu in Petworth. Tom Seatsman of the Washington Post rated them as the top 4 restaurant in the country, in the city last year. Bluebird Bakery in Union Market, best almond croissants you'll ever have, and a couple of others. The reality is that we would have never been able to create Prequel in another city. Prequel is actually owned by 250 DC residents who had a vision for helping to create a food community here in DC. I also need to give a shout out to our landlord, Tishman Speyer. I think they have 12 buildings in downtown, but they really helped make this dream into a reality. As Prequel took off, we quickly realized that there was a greater need in the restaurant industry than just being an incubator. And as entrepreneurs, we looked at the problem and we solved it by creating another company called In Kind, which funds restaurants. So we've done about 150 restaurants nationwide, including 10 here in the district. And for us, creating restaurants is not just about feeding people great food. It's really about building community and giving meaningful employment to people who may have a hard time finding work otherwise. It's often too easy in society for us to just forget about folks who we think should have made better choices. And that's why I'm so grateful for being able to work with Ralph and Devon. Ralph, Devon, and myself are very, very similar. We love food. We're pretty smart. We like talking to guests. We love pranks. Ask Ralph about that later. But I can tell you that I was lucky. I was raised by a mom who's a calculus high school teacher and a dad who worked 3 jobs to send me to private school and give me every opportunity. I grew up with a social network that believed in me, that took risks on me, that gave me confidence so that I could fail. And when I failed, they were there, stood by me, and helped me get back up and try again. Ralph and Devon, they weren't so lucky. But I can tell you, from working with them, they are just as hardworking as I am. They are just as entrepreneurial as I am. And they are just as motivated to impact their community. Probably more so. Finally, someone is taking a chance on them. Through Project Empowerment and the Pivot program, someone is giving them the opportunity they never had before. And I truly believe that whatever resources are put into this program will be returned tenfold. These gentlemen are going to start successful businesses here in the district, which will generate revenue, tax dollars, and employment. Mayor Bowser, please keep up the fight to ensure the people in the district get a real second chance to be productive and engaged citizens. Most importantly, they need someone who believes that they can do great things. We are all counting on you. Thank you. And I want to introduce Ralph, Devon. Sorry, guys. He's one of our Pivot Fellows, and he'll be introducing the mayor.
Good morning. My name is Devon Bell. I'm a native Washingtonian and returning citizen. Poor decisions on my part led me to the justice system. I can remember being a youth, and I was well on my way to become anything that I could dream of and imagine. By the time I was 18, I had spent 40% of my adulthood life behind bars. In 2015, I decided that I would do everything needed to break that cycle. While I was incarcerated, I renewed my Serve Safe certificate, I obtained my OSHA 10, and worked in the prison kitchen to further my knowledge in the food industry. Based on those efforts, I received 3 job offers within 2 weeks of my release, only to have those job offers rescinded because I couldn't pass the background check. A friend of mine told me about a program called Project Empowerment. After completing the 3-week course, I was hired as a sous chef. After 6 months in this position, I got hired full-time. During my 7th month, the chef informed me that his lease was up and we were shutting down. At this point, I was introduced to another DOES program called Aspire to Entrepreneurship. Aspire to Entrepreneurship is a 6-month incubation course for those seeking entrepreneurship. During my 6 months, my last month of the entrepreneurship program, I was given the opportunity to sign up for the Georgetown Pivot program. Today, I am proud to say that I am a Pivot Fellow. I'm currently serving here as an intern at Prequel. The Pivot program is a collaboration between Department of Employment Services and Georgetown University. The unique thing about these programs, what it does, it combines intellectual studies with structured employment opportunities to give Pivot Fellows like myself the choice to venture into your own business and start your own business or to gain meaningful employment. I would like to thank Pivot, the mayor, Prequel, and everybody for giving people like me the opportunity to overcome the mistakes that we made. These cutting-edge programs would not be possible without the arduous support and visionary leadership of people like Mayor Bowser. It is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Bowser.
Well, good morning, everybody. Those were tremendous stories. I sat there and was somewhat speechless, and I hardly ever get speechless. First, you heard Johan talk about what it means to have a safety net, to have high expectations from family and friends, and have the ability to take risk and to live your dreams. And when I heard you speaking, I realized that that is my wish for every child and every person in Washington, D.C. And when we can support families to give their young people that sense of security and daring, and when we as a village can also step in when families cannot, provide that sense of security and space for daring, we know that our residents can achieve much. I am just so happy to hear the stories and the success that have surrounded Project Empowerment and our partnership with Georgetown University, and to hear what's happening here at Prequel, which I didn't know about. This is a beautiful place and a wonderful idea. Let's give Andy and Johan a round of applause for having this great idea. But Devon really put a face to these programs. Washingtonians with ideas, with skills and need, and have earned a second opportunity. And we know that Project Empowerment has worked for hundreds of Washingtonians. D.C. is, in so many ways, a growing and amenity-rich city. We have something for everyone, from bars and restaurants to venues and museums. People are flocking to our city to live, to visit, and to work. But we also know that demand has created a lot of pressures on housing, on childcare, on transportation. The cost of living is higher than in most places. Now, you get a lot for it. You get a beautiful city that runs well and a lot of opportunities to live, work, and play. In our 68 square miles, we try to pack it in. Visitors, more than 21 million every year, come to our city, and our population is the highest it has been in 4 decades. And all of that is great. But we want people frequenting our local businesses to also employ our residents. We also want all of our residents to benefit from the growth and prosperity that we are experiencing in this city. So coming into office, one thing I charged my team with was revamping our workforce development programs to better align with both the needs of our residents as well as the employers in our city. We were intentional about building and fixing programs that support residents who we know usually have the hardest time finding employment. That includes our returning citizens, residents who have been out of work for many years, as well as those who might need to further their education or learn new skills. So each year, for example, more than 2,000 men and women return to our community from the Federal Bureau of Prisons. As a government and as a community, we know that one of the best ways we can support these men and women is to give them a real second chance. So we have a program to support our returning citizens called Project Empowerment that you've already heard about. Project Empowerment serves as a safety net for returning citizens and their families by providing focused training, preparation, and ongoing advocacy. Just last year, 390 returning citizens were able to gain employment through the Project Empowerment program. And on an annual basis, Project Empowerment serves 700 men and women from all 8 wards, with most of its participants residing in Wards 7 and 8. The subsidized work experience gives residents the opportunity to learn and grow personally and professionally while developing essential on-the-job skills. And so employers like Prequel who work with us, I want to congratulate them for taking a chance on D.C. residents. And I want to thank Devon and our Project Empowerment participants who put themselves out there, despite the fact that frequently they hear no, or they have experienced rejection. They know. They showed up. And they have gotten the opportunity here at Prequel to really come back home. It's one thing to come home, but to really come back home. And Project Empowerment is one of a suite of activities that we have launched in D.C. government. We also launched a program called LEAP, where we train participants of one of our government programs, including TANF, to apply for D.C. government jobs. We also have a program called Career Connections that allows us to almost immediately place and subsidize employment or training just to involve young people up to the age of 24. So Dr. Morris Hughes and the team at DOES, which is a fantastic team, give them a round of applause. Have done a tremendous job in building these programs and making sure that we are providing those meaningful training opportunities for our residents. We know when we teach these men and women to fish, we put them in a position to compete and win jobs that will allow them to support their families right in the District of Columbia. We do have a concern today. The council has proposed cutting $17.4 million from our Department of Employment Services for workforce development programs like I have just described, which would effectively give many of these programs an expiration date, and that date is September 2020. These programs not only change lives, in many cases, they're saving lives. As we combat displacement in our city, now is not the time to cut programs like this. Today is a celebration of men and women who have put in the hard work to rebuild their lives and their futures. So as we call to action, to reach out to our lawmakers, to let them know how important Project Empowerment and Career Connections are, not only to the employment opportunities for these families, but to all that we're doing to build up strong and safe neighborhoods across the District of Columbia. So I know I can count on you to do that, and I can count on you to stay focused on working with us to give more and more D.C. residents a fair shot, and in some cases, a fresh start. Thank you very much, everybody. So I think we'll take some press questions, and then Unique, if you'll join me at the podium, and then we're going to, Johan, you're going to give us a tour? All right. I want to see what's happening here. Yes, Sam.
Yes, Mayor. I just chatted briefly with the director, but tell us, how does it, you said $17 million in cuts,
Yep.
specifically programs for returning citizens. I think it's about $6 million, is that it? Or
Yep, that's correct. So approximately $6 million for returning citizens, and the $17 million is cuts over this year and next year.
okay. Any indication why?
So we don't have a clear indication of why, but what we do know is that this program, Project Empowerment and DC Career Connections, is an institution in the city, just like SYEP. And we know for sure, without it, we couldn't do the important work that Andy and Devon are doing.
Another question. The
Yes.
Metropolitan Police Department tweeted out a criticism of Councilmember Charles Allen today, also talking about cuts. What can you say about that?
Sure. Well, you know, we're in budget season, Sam. I presented my budget to the council a few weeks back. The council has conducted hearings, and all of the council committees have issued their markups. And the Committee on Public Safety and Justice have cut personnel monies from MPD.
So, is that something that upsets you, or is it mainly the police department?
I'm not going to. When you say upsets me, that adds emotion that I don't think is appropriate. What we need to focus on is, do we have the resources that we need to provide public safety in all 8 wards? And will this cut interfere with our ability to hire the police officers that we need? And it will.
And of course, Mayor, you realize, right, when you submit a budget, they're going to change some of the things, right?
And you realize it's my job to tell the people what we need, and that's what we need. And so the council still has the ability to fix it. Those were committee actions, and we look to all 13 members of the council to ensure that we have the resources that we need. Any other press questions? All right, let's get to it. Thank you, everybody.